It's another day in July, so that means it's another time for Penn State to get a recruit. That's how it feels like it's been in the month of July for Penn State football with the class of 2022. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. This is T. Frank's Film Room. Today it's three-star athlete from Florida, the Jacksonville area, Cam Miller. Now, if you want to see the rest of those players from the month of July and their film rooms, T. Frank's Film Room is on Blue White Illustrated's YouTube channel. So subscribe and hit the notification button. It's really important that you hit the notification button so you get up-to-date information on breaking news like commitments, that Cam Miller chose Penn State over Virginia Tech as the athlete/corner prospect. So what we do here on T. Frank's Film Room is we try to give you an accurate assessment of what a football player is at the high school level, how they translate, and kind of give context to the star ranking so that you know what to expect from a football player. But sometimes being accurate is saying there's a lot that we don't know right now. And with Cam Miller, that is a good place to start, where he is the 45th player at his position in the state of Florida and the 83rd overall player in the state. And Penn State, you're saying, has been on this run of great recruits, and now the star ranking and all that stuff. He's a three-star athlete. What's the deal? Why are they targeting him with this specifically with so few players left in this class? Well, I think you'll see once we get into the profile, he's much more than a three-star player, but there's a lot of unknowns because primarily he played quarterback for Fernandina Beach High School last year, which is he's transferring to Trinity Christian Academy, which is a premier powerhouse in the state. But last year, the film that we have right now, he played quarterback primarily. He did play safety when he played defense, but even towards the end of the season, as they made their playoff run, he focused on quarterback, so there aren't a ton of reps on defense for us to know the in-depth details of his profile. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the offensive plays and the defensive plays that we do have based on some highlight film and some plays in game to give you an idea of what his profile is right now and how that heads into his senior season. And the first easiest place to start is when you need to find a corner. Sometimes just get the most athletic guy in the field and put him at that position. And that's what his high school did, because he is clearly the most athletic player on the field almost always. So he's the kick returner, he's the quarterback, he's the punt returner here. You see, he has an ability with the ball in his hands to make big things happen. You see, this isn't great coverage. He's looking at the player, but he follows the play. And he's athletic enough to be in position to make that. And there's an athleticism to seeing the ball in the air and just catching it. And then the ability to return, his movement skills, some of that intangible ability, I think, is really present on his film, sort of dripping with that intangible thing that I'm umming through trying to find the answer to. But that's what Cam Miller brings to the table right now, a really high floor as an athlete. So you see the long speed, which is somewhere in the high 4.4s, low 4.5s, and I think that's going to get better. He's gotten up to 180 pounds this offseason, and reports are he's a voracious worker, and he's working towards 190. So at 6 foot, 180 pounds, he's already on his way to being an ideal size and athletic profile as a corner. 6 foot, 195 is a great size to be a corner, and then the speed profile, I think, will get better as he adds strength and mass to his lower body, and as you can see, his frame can definitely handle that. So as a corner prospect, we're starting to fill out the athletic profile and see what he does. One of the actual translatable skills, not just general speed, but his closing speed, the ability to trigger from your back pedal downhill, and you can see that bouncy athleticism he has, that explosiveness in his stride. That is going to serve really well in off coverage and in general in run defense, but especially when you need to break on the ball in flight. He has the ability to trigger downhill and get where he wants to really quickly. So that's why, despite the fact that it's maybe 4.5, low 4.4s, which is good for an athlete in high school, but not exactly the high profile corner profile, this explosive athleticism to me makes him look faster on film. It's that twitchiness and that long speed versus closing speed. Those are different things, and he exhibits both. And again, being that big and having that sort of bouncy ability to burst out of your stance and not be high and tight, that makes him that opens up a whole new door when it comes to his ceiling as a corner. So that part is great. But the best part about all of that is you marry all of that with some of the more fluid hips I've seen in this class as far as general athleticism. His ability to turn and run and use those skills in any direction. Watch how he sets up this defender in the flat and then gets more yards. Same thing again. I want to show you again with this angle because you can see better how he can turn his hips, be square, and then immediately flip and run. That's a directly translatable skill in terms of the ability to play corner. And you see here, actually in off coverage where he's got to run with a guy, he makes multiple cuts and he's able to stay with the receiver. Now, some of the technique stuff isn't great, but here's another example of being able to turn and run with a football player in coverage. The burst, the turn, the juke, all of those things are great indicators that when he's in a man coverage situation, he's going to be able to athletically stay with just about anybody with that size and that length and a good bit of physicality. So man coverage would be the one area I'd say that we don't have any information whatsoever on, but those are the skills that he's going to need to play that position with those skills. So that's a really good sign as far as the potential. So the potential-wise and the athleticism-wise, he's much more than a 3-star. I'd say he's a solid 4-star athlete at the corner position, but without any of the positional information, it's hard to put him in that category at this moment. The other thing that I think when you look at his abilities, you see you're a little more comfortable with the off-coverage stuff. So this is another thing that Penn State's going to run quite a bit, and this is why you can make an easier projection than if we didn't have these on film, is that he's able to see and use all of those physical skills to break on the ball. Now, some of these are just kind of gimmies when it comes to the quarterback throwing you the football, but once he gets the ball in his hands, you can see he becomes a returner. That's all that we have, by the way, in off coverage that we were able to find as far as his abilities in off coverage, those last two plays plus what we saw before. So a good bit of projection on our part there, but you can see the physical, tangible skills, and then it becomes about teaching. So when you have a guy that's transferring to a high-profile school in order to find better competition and better coaching, and you have a projection curve maybe that's a little bit steeper, that's fine as long as you know that going in, that if a guy needs to take a redshirt year and learn the position, learn the details, not be grabby in man coverage and make sure he's reading his keys on routes in off coverage, reading the quarterback and not biting on things. All of those things take time to learn for any young corner, but he's got a little bit longer of a way to go. And I think that is an important thing to remember looking at Cam Miller, that the potential is absolutely there, but it may take a little bit longer of a race to get him there. And anything he does between now and his freshman season will help to shorten that for him. And reports are that all of that is good, and if Penn State is offering him, you got to expect that with that much of a projection, that's what they're expecting as well. Now, there is one thing that I do feel confident, very confident about during his evaluation of his profile, and that is his tackling. I would say that this is an area where he is not a strong tackler. He puts a lot of effort into it, and that's why. I don't think he's ever going to be a liability as a tackler, as a corner, but you can see he doesn't wrap up. He goes at ankles and knees quite a bit, and you've seen that already in some of these films. He's not an impact sort of tackler, but again, he's going to play corner. I'm not concerned with that. I want to know, can he cover the team's boundary receiver on a post route? Can he on a blaze route when he's got to make multiple changes on the fly? Can he do those things? That's more what I'm concerned about. The tackling will come because you can see that there's effort there, but as far as wrapping, bringing your feet, the technical side of it, there's still a good bit of raw skills there. So that'll be another part of his game that he'll have to work on going forward in his football career. But overall, a really good prospect from an athletic profile, and then you're going to bank on good teaching over the early part of his career to bring out all of those traits. So Penn State, when they're looking for a corner late in this class and they've got a couple spots left, they're going to prioritize the guys with a high upside, and that is what you have in Cam Miller, is a ton of upside. That's T. Frank's Film Room. I'm your host, Thomas Frank Carr. Make sure you subscribe to the Blue White Illustrated YouTube page. Hit the notification button so that you get more stuff like when